Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
And a very good Monday to you. Nice, a warm Monday. A little damp outside, but it's a beautiful, beautiful day if you like warm weather here in the Mid-Willamette Valley. We're in Albany, broadcasting from the Albany studios of KGAL's Valley Talk. A very good day to you. I'm Dave Adams. Have a full show for you. Of course, you know about Hurricane Sandy bearing down on New York. We have John Gibson, our investment guy, on the phone here in just a moment. We're going to be talking to him about the impact economically that this could have, especially immediately on the stock market. We're going to get his 2 cents on that. But today, for the entire hour of the show, we're going to focus on the Linn County Commissioner race. Roger Nyquist was in the studio Friday afternoon. Hasso Herring, who is also in the studio with us today. Hasso and I were in talking to Roger here, recording his response to a number of questions. His challenger is in the studio today, and glad to have you with us today.
Good morning.
And we're going to be asking Roger a question, and then Mark Spence will be responding, and then the second question we'll ask Mark first, and then get to Roger's recorded response to that. And Hasso is with us in the studios as well. Hasso, glad to have you back.
Well, good morning.
And so we're going to be finding out about the Linn County Commission race. This is Valley Talk. We are also, once again today, giving away a $10 gift certificate for Quiznos in Albany. Just to send me an email, dave@kgal.com. Put Quiznos Taste on Us on the subject line, or give it a call to KGAL at 541-451-KGAL, 541-926-8683, and say you would like a shot at winning the Quiznos Taste on Us giveaway. It's a $10 gift certificate. Give it away at the end of the show, so you can start submitting your entries right now. So let's go to the phone and talk to John Gibson. John, how are you doing today?
Good morning.
Let's talk about this storm. What's its economic impact, first of all? I know they've closed Wall Street today.
Well, Wall Street will be closed today and tomorrow, all the major exchanges, the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ. They're going to try to open, even if it's just for a couple of hours on Wednesday, which is very significant because that is the end of the month. And for many of mutual funds and other investment companies, it's also the end of their fiscal year. They have to get profit and loss sheets out. They have to tie up their trading strategies. You know, it's a very important day on Wednesday. The problem is they've ordered 375 people to evacuate out of the Manhattan area. How are you going to get the people back in on Wednesday to trade? Even though a lot of it is electronic trading, people still have to monitor those stations, so you're going to have a very thin trade, and so, you know, it's very volatile. So that's the concern from a financial viewpoint on the markets. From a financial viewpoint on the retail people, 9,000 flights have already been canceled all over the world, you know, so you're going to have hotels canceled. You're going to have airlines not flying. It's going to have a pretty significant impact on our GDP.
Okay, and you'll be in with the studios. You normally are here tomorrow, and we'll be talking about the repercussions of that after the storm hits. And of course, it's bearing down, and winds are, from what I hear, it is probably the largest storm in recorded history to hit the Northeast Seaboard, Atlantic City, and New York City.
Yeah, they're showing Battery Park right now, which is just a 5-minute walk from Wall Street. And at high tide yesterday, it was underwater. At high tide tonight, which is when the storm is supposed to hit, they're expecting maybe 6 feet of water. So anyone that's been to New York knows that it's a very flat, very level area, and they're expecting that surge to go maybe half a mile inland. So, you know, I don't even think they're going to get the market open on Wednesday, which is very significant for traders. But then imagine on Tuesday we have an election. A week from today we have an election, and hurricanes traditionally have play a hard line on an incumbent president. Of course, in this case, you have a press who tends to favor the current president, So I don't think we'll see the reaction that we saw with Katrina.
Okay. Tomorrow we're going to talk more about this. We just wanted to give people a heads up that we're watching the situation. You'll be in our studios tomorrow. And, of course, tomorrow we're going to be having Ken Toom, the incumbent Lebanon mayor, running for re-election. We had his challenger in the studio last week, Paul Aziz, and had his comments. We'll have Ken's response tomorrow. That's going to be on Valley Talk. So, John, looking forward to visiting with you tomorrow on the show.
All right, and I'd just like to say welcome to my mama. She's up here visiting, and I get to see her tomorrow.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Sounds good. All right, now we continue with local elections. Linn County Commissioner Roger Nyquist is the incumbent and Mark Spence the challenger. Mark, of course, in the studios today. Roger Nyquist was in the studios Friday afternoon. Hasso Herring and I had a chance to talk about 9 different questions, and we're going to pose the same question to each candidate. First of all, we're going to pose a question that we did by means of tape recording Friday to Roger Nyquist, and Hasso and I both asked him why he should be returned to office. Roger, first question, why are you running for re-election?
I'm running for re-election because I care deeply about Linn County, the welfare of the citizens. We've got some good things going on with the local economy, and I'd like to stick around to see those to completion.
You mentioned some things that need to be completed. What are they?
Well, you've got the medical campus in Lebanon with Western University, the starting of a veterans home. Lots of good things happening in Lebanon in the way of economic development. In the Albany area, the I-5 corridor, we're working on the initial phases of the build-out of Interstate 5 to 3 lanes each way and the rebuilding of those interchanges. And in Sweet Home, we're working on a permanent festival site for the Oregon Jamboree to be able to do multiple events there during the summertime.
Do you think that the work on the freeway expansion, Roger, has been going on for a good long time? Are we going to see this in our lifetime?
They're about to the point of approving the plan, and then they have a limited amount of time to start work, or the plan becomes no good. So during my next term, if successfully elected, I do anticipate work to begin. Whether or not it's completed during that term, I would doubt.
This has to do with the freeway down to what location?
Well, it's the South Jefferson interchange now, just to the Highway 20 Santiam exit. The most pressing need is for an additional southbound access to I-5 for the Albany area.
There are no plans, are there, for a southbound exit?
Oh, there are plans.
Tell us about that.
There are multiple plans. There's lots of circles and ins and outs, and part of it calls for the elimination of that little very short off-ramp that you can access now going south on I-5, and an onbound southbound I-5 ramp would go start in about the proximity of that current
I see what you're talking about. I remember talk some years ago about the idea of providing an actual southbound or a south exit or on-ramp for South Albany. Now, Highway 34 and Columbus Street serve as that route, and it is sort of dangerous, at least in one direction. Why is nothing happening on that score?
So you're talking about clear down to Highway 34 and that interchange. The county is going to install a stoplight at Highway 34 and 7 Mile Lane probably next summer.
Oh, that's on the east side of the freeway.
Correct.
Doesn't really serve as an access point to Albany. It always struck me as odd that ODOT has refused to designate Highway 34 as a point to get to Albany when you come from the south, even though it advertises Linn Benton Community College on the freeway as this is the next exit for that. So you would think that they would build out something that makes that a suitable Albany off-ramp.
So you'd be talking about like a cloverleaf there at Columbus and Highway 34.
Either that or provide a different kind of on-ramp and exit, say, at 7 Mile Lane.
We pushed for that. Specifically, Albany Councilman Ralph Reed pushed for that. And both the Federal Highway Administration and ODOT came back and said it didn't meet their spacing standards, and it was a non-starter in their view.
Non-starter. We were asking you these questions because you're a member of the Area Commission on Transportation, and you have some input on what actually happens.
Yeah, I am, and over the course of the last 12 years, I've received a lesson in the politics of pavement.
Roger Nyquist, incumbent Linn County Commissioner running for re-election. Of course, the election is next week, and he was in our studios talking to Hasso and I Friday afternoon. In the studio live today is challenger Mark Spence. Mark, welcome to Valley Talk.
Good morning again. Thanks for having me here.
First question, why should the voters send you to office instead of Mr. Nyquist?
Well, the simple framework to answer that question is I'm running to present something new. Otherwise, I wouldn't be challenging a 12-year incumbent. The way I view things, I look at Linn County as a place with extraordinary potential in terms of livability, in terms of economic development, and sort of nice, good, functional growth over the long term. But I do see a county performing at below average levels in terms of unemployment, in terms of health, in terms of livability concerns. And there's a very remarkable statistic for Linn County. Our unemployment right now is 11.1%. Sounds bad. Sounds like it's the new normal of the Great Recession. Our unemployment has averaged 10% for 10 years. That's been the month-over-month average unemployment rate in Linn County. And there's other statistics under that are also quite significant. We export more workers than we bring in. Of those, of the 89% of the county that's employed, about a third of them leave the county. No, actually not a third of them, half of them leave the county to work. We bring in about 16,000 workers a day, and we send out 22,000 workers a day. So our unemployment, and we're also exporting workers. They're not even living in the county. So my concerns are, in a sense, really grabbing the reins on serious long-term issues. We do not have a strategic plan for the budget. We basically sort of have a henny-penny, sky-is-falling approach to budget concerns every year.
On the other hand, Mark, isn't it true that while the budget, the budget concerns are always there, Linn County has managed to manage the budget concerns much better than some other counties that used to depend on the timber economy. Josephine County comes to mind, Coos County, and some of the others.
It's an important question. It reminds me of, I lived in Illinois for 6 out of 7 years. I taught at a college there. And dyed-in-the-wool long-term Midwesterners always had a phrase, which was, it could be worse. and my wife, our response was always, it really could be better. It could be quite a bit better. What we have in Linn County, there's sort of this odd, not a statistic, but sort of an odd phrase, which is we have no external debt, which is to say we're not bonded. We have a ton of internal debt. We've been borrowing from the road fund, just significant amount, beyond $10 million. And so that's one way we've managed it. The others, we don't have as many O&C lands.
Well, wait a second. The debt from the road fund, the main part of it has to do with the creation of this veterans home in Lebanon. Isn't that right?
That's true, and I don't want to anticipate a future question, but the reason we have that debt is because we're paying for that with a levy as opposed to a bond, and that raises really a host of problems that perhaps I'll speak about later, but maybe right now is the best time.
Sure.
I've described our budget and our budgeting process as dysfunctional. Two of the challenges we have, and they're known challenges. One is the decline in timber payments, and again, our timber payments have not been as significant, so the decline's not as significant as, say, Lane County or Douglas or Jefferson. But the other is compression from Measure 5 and then Measures 47. Compression is a problem, but it's a known problem. And the way you avoid compression is you try not to rely on levies as much as possible. And right now, our public safety levy in Linn County is squeezing Sweet Home to death. But on top of that, we passed a levy for the veterans home. And
Well, before that, we passed a levy for the 4-H program.
For the
That is
4-H
for the
program.
extension service.
And I think those are both problematic. If you're serious about economic development and you live in an agricultural county, the 4-H and OSU extension needs to be coming out of your general fund. You do not force neighbors and farmers to scramble around and run around and pass a levy. Anyway, those two levies, the Veterans Home and 4-H, have created more compression throughout the county than any of the concerns that the county commissioners and the budget committee, they're running around trying to scramble funds from Albany, from Sweet Home, from other areas to square our budget.
Well, the main issue, or the main cause of the compression, obviously was, well, not obviously, but I think, was the decline in property values. That combined with the limitations on the rates caused some taxing units to lose revenue that they otherwise would have received. Right. In addition to that, you remember that one of the reasons that there's less revenue for some of these functions is the urban renewal districts in Lebanon and Albany. They're significant. They have a significant effect on the amount of money that, for example, the sheriff's department or any other county department would get.
The decline in property values about 2 years ago we crossed that threshold of where compression coming from property values dropping below their sort of reduced assessed value. So that's not been a chronic issue, a chronic concern with it. It could be a concern going forward. You wrote a wonderful editorial about a year ago.
No kidding. I wish I could remember.
Oh, I've wallpapered my house with them all. And actually, it was about Mr. Nyquist's concern regarding the Albany Urban Renewal District and it impinging upon the Greater Albany Public Schools funding.
You have about a minute and a half left, and we'll have to wrap this up.
Okay. Maria Delapour had said it will not squeeze us, and you reminded Mr. Nyquist this will not squeeze the schools. It will affect the county to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. The levy for the Veterans Home, and I support the Veterans Home, but I did pinch my nose when I voted. If you're going to say step up, Linn County, we love veterans, we're going to make a sacrifice, you would do a bond, and you would also do a bond because you're building a building. You're not paying for human services. That's what we do with public safety levies. That's for services. It's not for structures. And when interest rates are 1%, that's when you pass a bond. And there's no difference. We're just borrowing from the road fund instead of doing a bond.
Well, I think the road fund made an investment in this project, and it gets a return in terms of taxes collected from this levy, as you say. Seems like not that bad an investment if you had to make an investment. In fact, you could probably get more out of that investment than you can from the market.
We're going to have to move along here. We're running a little bit. We're still on our first question of the show.
Okay.
And we're going to have to. Do you want to answer that real quick? Go ahead.
We're paying the road fund about the same interest rate we would pay for a bond, except what we're doing is we're creating compression. And if we had done a bond, we wouldn't have the compression issue.
Okay. This is Valley Talk. The next question we're going to ask, actually, we've changed the order a little bit based on your response, so Roger Nyquist will have a chance to give his take on it. And the next question we're going to ask is, what can a Linn County Commissioner do to bring jobs to the area? You kind of mentioned economic development, tax compression, and so on and so forth. You're concerned about economic development in Linn County.
So this question is back at me.
Yeah, we'll ask that to you when we come back, and then Roger will be responding in his recorded comments from Friday afternoon. This is Valley Talk. Don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us, and you can send an email to dave@kgal.com or call KGAL at 541-451-KGAL. We'll be back with the program in just a moment.
Albany's Mennonite Home is pleased to have earned a perfect score from the State of Oregon surveyors this month, making Mennonite Home one of the top skilled nursing and rehabilitation facilities in Oregon, providing the highest possible quality of care. As part of the Mennonite Village Retirement Community, Mennonite Home provides the rehabilitation and therapy services for people of all faiths transitioning from a hospital stay to home. They work directly with each resident's healthcare, pharmacy, and insurance providers, making life easier for residents and their families. A wide range of resident programs are offered to meet individual interests, including outdoor gardening, scenic walks, cooking and baking, art and music, pet therapy, and brain fitness activities. Mennonite Home is where you'll find superior standards and amazing levels of devotion. The proof is in their reputation and resident satisfaction. Rooms are currently available. Call Geraldine at 541-928-7232 or visit MennoniteHome.com.
Welcome to the twisted world of the Nightmare Factory, Oregon's #1 and longest-running haunted house at the Oregon School for the Deaf in Salem. The Nightmare Factory was fully remodeled with a new 8,000-square-foot haunted edition. Open Sunday through Thursday, 7 to 10, till 11 Friday and Saturdays. Admission is $10. Bring in 2 cans of food and receive $1 off general admission. Log on to NightmareFactorySalem.com for tickets, rules, and more details. The Nightmare Factory Haunted House. Don't be scared.
Did you know Linn County Commissioners make more than $80,000 a year plus benefits? In 12 years, that means the incumbent has received well over $1 million of our taxes. That should be a full-time job, but he's also opened 6 businesses, partnered in 8 others, and even worked as a lobbyist. I'm Mark Spence, and as the new commissioner, I'll end my private business, work more than full-time for our communities, and always put public service before personal interest. Plus, I'll take a 10% pay cut. For more, please go to markspence2012.com. This ad paid for by Friends of Mark Spence.
It's all happening in downtown Albany. A quaint little shop with a surprising amount of inventory from the Victorian era to modern times is Timeless Treasures. You will find quality vintage furniture, glassware, and more. With over 1,000 pieces of vintage jewelry, Timeless Treasures brings jewelry from the past for the present at 421 West 1st.
Historic Albany has plenty to offer visitors and local Mid-Valley families. There's always something to do. You just have to know where to go. The Albany Visitors Association can help you find that unique experience of Albany and the surrounding area any time of year. So check out the AVA at 3rd and Lyon.
Visiting Angels care every day in every way. Their home care agencies send caring and experienced caregivers that provide up to 24-hour care in the comfort of your own home. Call Visiting Angels in downtown Albany at 928-2061. That's 928-2061. It's all happening in downtown Albany.
Valley Talk, weekday mornings on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
Linn County Commission race is the topic of Valley Talk. Next question goes to Hasso Herring.
Well, Mark, and we're talking to Mark Spence, of course, the Democratic candidate for Linn County Commissioner. Mark, you have been critical of the county government about, in terms of its lagging economy. What, as a county commissioner, would you be able to do about that?
In terms of, there's a sort of a small pot, a couple $100,000 every biennium that the state will send to counties, and it's the county commissioner's prerogative to administer those funds for economic development. And my understanding over the last several years is that it's largely gone to subsidize minimum wage, either increases in minimum wage, the rate of minimum wage, sort of cover the spread, or to pay to subsidize youth being employed at minimum wage jobs. A number of counties will use that money to pay to help pay the salary of an economic development director, or also just to plow it into the 4-H extension service, viewing that as sort of agricultural funding as economic development. Those are the immediate sort of cash administration issues that you can do as a county commissioner. There's 2 things that we...
Excuse me, let me interrupt. Your idea is then you would do away with that youth employment program that the county has been running?
No, but I don't think that's economic development. I think it's particularly valuable in getting young people employed, because that's going to echo through their lives.
That's sort of the essence of economic development.
No,
at least one part of it.
It's an aspect. Economic development is much more comprehensive than that, and most counties and just about every city in Oregon has an economic development plan. And Linn County, we have the worst employment rates in the valley, in the entire Willamette Valley, and just about every county in the Willamette Valley, which is doing much better than us, does have an economic development plan. What an economic development plan is not the county commissioners saying, this is how we want the county to be, these are the marching orders, this is the kind of business we are going to support. it's basically a forum where you're bringing together all the sectors of the economy: labor, industry, commerce, small business, all sorts of parties coming together and laying out a basic strategy, sort of doing an inventory. These are the businesses we have. This is what functions well. If we add this, our businesses will work better. We'll also have a more diversified economy. If we can add these educational components or bridge better with OSU or something, in our case, we can augment the economy and develop these missing sectors, these missing pieces, so that we can fill in the puzzle and have a complete puzzle. And that requires about 1.5 years of work, and it requires a lot of patience, it requires some optimism, but it also requires the kind of leadership, not telling people what to do, but bringing together various parties under the simple faith that the right people coming together will come up with the best decision. I do not have an economic development plan. I believe we need an economic development plan.
So it's in essence, what you're saying is what we need is a plan. A plan.
Very simply, if you are a jobs candidate and you do not have a plan, you are not a jobs candidate. You are not campaigning on improving employment if you have no plan.
Well, of course, Roger Nyquist isn't here, so I don't know what he would say to what you just said.
Well, the next question we're going to play from Roger Nyquist is the question we posed him when he was here Friday, is what he would do to bring jobs to Linn County.
Okay, well, let's hear from him then.
Here's what Roger said Friday about what he would do to bring jobs to Linn County. One of the questions I've got is about jobs. What can you as a Linn County Commissioner do? Let's say you return to office by the voters. People are wanting to get back to work. They're underemployed. They're unemployed. What can you do as a Linn County Commissioner to bring jobs to Linn County?
What I've learned in this position is that it's crucial that we execute on the opportunities that present themselves. Linn County by itself is not going to dramatically change the market conditions nationally, at the state level, or even locally from city to city. So when you get employers who are interested in a community in Linn County needs to be all in if it's something that makes sense for the community and help to execute on those opportunities.
You were instrumental in having the county support some years ago the idea of a Gatorade factory being built in Albany. You committed some money from the county if it became necessary. Turned out it didn't become necessary. But you were ready to do that. Would you do that again for that kind of an operation?
Absolutely. The Gatorade facility is clearly one that got away, and it was, in my view, nobody's fault in this community. Market conditions changed dramatically. But, that would have been a $500 million facility, would have employed 400 to 500 people. Their water bill that they were going to pay would have been $1 million a year. It would have been 10% of the total consumption being used. And there was a point in time where these negotiations had gone on for about a year. And crucial to making this thing work was having $15 million in infrastructure money available to carry the roads and the water and sewer system to this facility. And the state's treasurer suspended bond sales, unbeknownst to everybody. And we were sitting around getting ready to close this deal out, and we were $15 million short, and I pledged $15 million in county road fund money in the way of a loan to facilitate the infrastructure happening. And it turned out eventually the treasurer rescinded his ceasing of bond sales, and it wasn't necessary, but we certainly were ready to step up if needed.
And you say you would do that sort of thing again if it became necessary in order to lay in some sort of a project?
Absolutely.
The road fund has, what, $30 million in it?
Well, its value is a little over $30 million. We financed the county's match for the veterans home with it, and so it's being paid back a little over $1 million annually for that. There's a point where we don't think the road fund ought to go below, and we would just have to assess opportunities as they presented themselves.
Speaking of that veterans home, a similar veterans home or rehabilitation center, I guess, is being planned in Roseburg. And it happens that the state funded the local share or a good share of that project, whereas Linn County had to do it on its own. You try to do something about it. Why did that not succeed?
Well, for one thing, the vote was held, the last night of the session as they left there.
Talking about the legislative session.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the number one priority on our agenda. We continue to talk with folks about it, and we're hopeful as the state's bonding capacity increases for lottery dollars that we can make that happen.
The county pays for a lobbyist in Salem, does it not?
We do.
Did you talk to this lobbyist about letting this guy go past him?
Well, yeah. You get to the end of session, the last few hours, and all kinds of crazy things happened. And you bet we've had regular conversations about that.
So, what are the prospects of getting that fixed? When? The reason I ask is Linn County taxpayers are now paying off part of the local share of the veterans' home a little bit at a time. I think over 10 years, I believe. And so how long will it take to get that fixed?
Well, I think we need to get something done in the next session. Part of it depends on lottery sales and what their projected bonding capacity is available. But our legislative contingent is in full support of making that happen, and now it's just a matter of maneuvering the politics and the leadership.
So I guess my real question is, what are you doing to accelerate that solution?
I've got a meeting Monday morning at 10:30 with Andy Olson in his office.
Okay. Andy Olson, of course, the Republican leader in the House.
Correct.
And the representative from Albany.
We just need to continue to work the issue.
Okay.
Back to creating jobs, you say that Linn County, on their own, can't do a whole lot to change the game, so to speak, or to change the economic climate. But you mentioned the fact that the county needs to position itself so we can execute on opportunities.
Right.
What can the county do to put themselves in a good position to be able to execute on opportunities? Is it infrastructure? What can the county do locally to prepare themselves to be able to execute as those opportunities come up?
Well, most growth is going to happen inside city limits. And those are in control of cities. We continue to have conversations about what's working. Lebanon, for example, they've done a great job at creating shovel-ready property, making their development code what I would call bulletproof in the way of appeal. And so to the extent any city in Oregon can, they've reduced the time it takes to get a permit to do something. Normally in a city in Oregon, it's 3 to 5 years. Lebanon has moved that much closer to 18 months. And that's really, as a state, the biggest handicap we have. You look at economies that have recovered and are doing better in Idaho and Utah, for example. You talk to people who do businesses in all three places, and they'll tell you that's what the difference is that there's less uncertainty, and they can get to market much faster in these other places.
What about Albany in that respect?
I would say Albany is better than Corvallis, but not as good as Lebanon.
And why is that?
The industrial properties in Albany that are all zoned industrial are what I would call transportation challenged. Mm-hmm. There's substantial work that needs to be done, and there's a fair question about how much money do you invest hoping someone will come. That's why PepsiCo and the Gatorade project was such a good deal till it fell through. The other thing is that Albany has a more encompassing development code than Lebanon does. I understand there's a task force and a work group working on that. So they're somewhere in between.
Are you saying it's more difficult to meet the code or to comply with the code?
Well, there's more in the code. There's more requirements in the code, which leaves the opportunity for appeal and challenges of an application in meeting that code.
Okay, you're listening to Roger Nyquist. He's a recorded response to the question, what can Linn County Commissioners do to bring jobs to the county? We need to take a break right now, and then when we come back, we'll be visiting with the challenger, Mark Spence, who is in the studios, and there's some issues that also wants to visit with and some issues that Mark wants to bring to the table as well. Valley Talk will continue in just a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Sage, turning numbers into knowledge your business can use. Make your business smarter and your life easier with services from Sage. This is Charles Osgood.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
Vince Scully, the legendary baseball announcer, has been the voice of the Dodgers for 63 seasons. In other words, since before the team moved from Brooklyn to L.A., and he's still going strong, as you'll hear after this. In business, there is always room for improvement. And if your business systems are slowing you down, then improvement begins with Sage. With Sage 50 accounting software, your business can simplify and streamline your financial data. That way you can make better decisions and save time and money. So whether your business is a startup or well on its way, Sage is for you. Get started with a free trial at sagetoday.com/50. That's sagetoday.com/50. There's an old saying, expect the unexpected. Wise words, like suddenly remembering you left your garage door open when you're halfway to work. With a LiftMaster garage door opener with MyQ technology, you can use your smartphone or computer to control your garage door from anywhere, anytime. And LiftMaster garage door openers with battery backup keep your garage door working even if the power isn't. So be prepared for the unexpected. Learn more and find a dealer near you at liftmaster.com. Like me, Vin Scully started out in the Bronx, went to college at Fordham, and began broadcasting at Fordham's radio station, WFUV. He is 84 now, and for my money, the best baseball broadcaster ever.
It's been a sport that I've loved ever since I could throw a ball.
This summer, Scully threw out the first ball of the Dodger game, by the way, witnessed by most of his 16 grandchildren.
I want them to remember this. I want to share this with them with all my heart and soul.
Did I mention that Vin Scully has a way with words? Who but Vin would have said this?
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
Or this, when an injured Kirk Gibson had a walk-off homer to win the World Series of 1988.
She is gone! In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened.
It's all been a kid's dream come true for him.
We had a big old four-legged radio in the living room of our walk-up apartment house. And I would crawl under that radio. The crowd noise would come out of that speaker like water out of a shower head. And then I would think, I would love to be there.
He got there all right, and he's still there, although he's cut back some, and he's signed up for next season, too.
There's no way I could say goodbye to all of this. Not yet, anyway. In my heart, I just can't do it. Not yet.
The Osgood File. Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
Banking these days can be pretty impersonal. You've got your big banks, your internet banks, your do-it-yourself banks, and your too-big-to-fail banks. That's why you might be interested in an alternative. Willamette Community Bank. I'm Dave Wood, President and CEO of Willamette Community Bank. We believe you deserve better service without sacrificing a thing. So if you're feeling underserved, make the switch to the best banking option out there. Willamette Community Bank, service like no other, we promise. Member FDIC.
A few months back, our neighbor's house was broken into. They took some cash, some jewelry, stuff that can be replaced. We needed peace of mind, so we decided to get a security system. Mark's company has Protection One, and they do home security too, so we figured they'd be perfect for us. Over 1 million people trust them for home security, so they're obviously doing something right. But the best part? There's always a live person when you call Protection One. That's definite peace of mind.
Act now to protect your family. Go to protectionone.com/99 to see how you can get security plus home automation for only $99. That's protectionone.com/99 or call 866-826-4225 for details. That's 866-826-4225. Protect and connect your home with Protection One. Call 866-826-4225 for details. That's 866-826-4225.
Hear the truth and only the truth from your cultural crusader, Michael Medved, on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
This is Valley Talk, and we are talking about the race for Linn County Commissioner. Roger Nyquist, the incumbent, was in the studios Friday. We recorded his responses to some questions. We're posing the same questions to challenger Mark Spence, so keeping with the format. Next question goes to Roger Nyquist. And we asked this of him Friday, and then we will get to challenger Mark Spence's response.
Roger, your opponent in this contest has made the point of saying that he would be a full-time commissioner, and he implies that you are not. What is your response to that?
I am a full-time commissioner. I work pretty hard at this. It's not just a job for me. I'm very passionate about it. Anybody who's engaged me on county issues, I think, knows that. I have some confidence that the voters on election night will see it my way.
Well, specifically, what would your estimate be, or your guess that in a typical week when county business is going on, it's not Christmas, it's not that sort of thing. How much time do you spend?
It ranges between 40 and 50 hours a week. Also being available though, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there are periods where it's much more intense than others. For example, the Senator Morse resignation and the time between Senator Morse resigned and an appointment was named, it was literally nonstop.
What made it so intense?
Lots of people had lots of opinions about what the process ought to be and who our state senator should be. And as their representative and somebody who's voting on that, I needed to be available to engage in those conversations.
Aren't you, though, available really almost all the time?
I am, yeah.
I mean, personally, I know you are, because I used to call you at all hours on county business. Usually.
Right. My view is that the 114,000 people who live in this county are my boss. I'm answerable to all of those folks, and I do just that.
Well, Mark, you heard what Mr. Nyquist says about his his work schedule and so on. How would yours differ from that, or what was your point in regard to that question?
Well, let me make clear, Mr. Nyquist isn't here right now, and I'm not really going to respond to him in a manner that he's not able to do to me. And so, in a sense, what I'm going to say now is really kind of in reference to things he said earlier. But I'll answer your question, I guess, but sort of I want to speak to a couple things he said before. In previous responses to the same question, he has said that he has a 95% attendance rate at county commissioner meetings, and county commissioner meetings last about 30 minutes, and they happen twice a week, and so that would mean about 40 hours of meeting attendance a year. I have never kept a tab on when he's at a meeting or when he's paying attention at a meeting, but there are plenty of meetings he does miss. There are plenty of, or is not an active participant in. The 10 Years to End Homelessness program, for instance, it's sort of widely discussed, his presence or absence at those. The other issue I think that's he's also taken issue where I've said, he's opened 6 businesses, partnered in 8 others, and he's been a lobbyist for a gambling corporation. He's been a county commissioner for 12 years, not for 12 months, not for 3 months, and he'll talk about a busy schedule over the last 3 months or the last 6 months or the last 8 months. He was building out and opening multiple businesses on his Pacific Avenue property, and all of that requires a ton of work, a ton of his time, a ton of his attention, a lot of management, partnering in these businesses. These are various investment programs and projects that he has. I would hope he's paying a lot of attention to those. I would hope he was an active partner. I think if you are a business partner, you owe it to your partners to be working hard and working with them. And then also being a lobbyist for a gambling corporation, we hire a lobbyist to lobby for the county, and yet he lobbies for essentially the prime moneymaker. That is his sort of video gambling lounge that he's got out there. So that's my rejoinder. What would I do? The first thing I'll do is I'll take a 10% pay cut. The second thing I want to do is fire our lobbyist. The county commissioners should be doing their own lobbying. That's another way to save money. It's another way to be working full time. I will be on call all the time, but that's not a commissioner's job. A commissioner's job is not to be on call. A commissioner's job is to be publicly accountable, which is to be available online, have minutes and decisions and all sorts of fundamental things. We're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars in the county, and people have no idea how that's spent, or they have no idea what's going on in a meeting. And so so being sort of full-time present in that manner, and then just it's and the other thing that takes a ton of time, a strategic plan so that you have a functional budget over a 5-year window and over a 10-year window. It takes a ton of time, a ton of patience, and a lot of work and a lot of effort.
Mark, you'll find that Linn County is the kind of place where taxpayers and voters and just plain residents really do expect you to be on call all the time. If there's some sort of a problem outside of SIO someplace where they say an outdoor event that is causing trouble, they want to be able to call a county commissioner and say, hey, come out here and listen to this noise. And they do that. And that, I think, the tradition in Linn County and many other rural counties has been where the county commissioners and the county judge, used to be called the chairman of the county commissioners, has to be there to answer questions and to take a look at problems that people point out at all hours of the day. And they do that.
I agree with you. And as I said, I would be on call. But as Mr. Nyquist has said in other forums, he sort of has a reactive approach to finding economic opportunities, a reactive approach to problems. And if, as county commissioner, I would want to lead us in a way where we had a more proactive approach. Very often, if you want to know, if you ever wanted to volunteer for a committee or a commission in the county, you would have to call a county commissioner who would then give you another phone number to call and another phone number to call. You can't even find out what committees and commissions there are in the county. And one reason people have to call the county commissioner is because they can't find out anything else.
Well, it's a personal way of government that has kind of evolved in Oregon generally, and in the counties particularly. I wanted to ask you something else. You're a professional historian, Mark. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that would inform your work as a county commissioner in Linn County?
I'm a historian. I focus on U.S. history, and in particular, I focus on environmental history, which is mainly has been natural resource use and conflicts over natural resource use, in particular water and timber within the American West. And so the issues that define us, the issues that define the state, the issues that my family's been involved in for about 180 years is what I've been studying as a historian. So my information base is good. As a teacher, I basically have two obligations. One is to value and validate the perspective my students bring to a class. I'm trying to provide them with a skill set and a content base.
You teach at the U of O?
I teach part-time at U of O and OSU.
Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up and go into a commercial break so we can go back for the final segment of the show. This is Valley Talk. Sorry to interrupt, but we were pushed by the clock.
Okay.
We'll be back in Valley Talk in just a moment.
Hi, this is Paul from Paul's Computer Repair, and I want to tell you why I'm running for Lebanon mayor. I've lived in Lebanon for 15 years, and I love this town. Like many of you, I'm not happy with the way our officials are doing their job. The high water rates and lack of transparency on the city council are just two examples. We must have more open communications from the mayor and city council. Videotaping every public meeting and posting them for the community online is a must. We also need a safe community. Without this, nothing else matters. We must fully fund the police department, court, and jail. I want to have citizens of Lebanon create a long-term vision for Lebanon. Community input on what we want our town to look like in 10 years. This will help us build a strong economy and jobs while keeping the small hometown feeling. My business and livelihood depend on this. It's time for a fresh new generation of leaders in town. This election can be a turning point in our city's history. I ask for your vote together so we can bring back the town that friendliness built, a town we can be proud to call home. Find out more at my website, paul4mayor.com. I'm Paul Aziz. I read, paid for, and approve this message.
Willamette Living Magazine brings you the best of our special area in print and online. Locally owned and operated, Willamette Living is the lifestyle magazine of Oregon's Willamette Valley from Eugene to Portland. Every other month brings a new edition packed with engaging local stories, beautiful photography, and offerings from our neighbors in business. Visit WillametteLiving.com to read the current issue online, find out about advertising your business, or subscribe now and have every issue delivered to your home or office. Willamette Living Magazine, your guide to the best of the Willamette Valley.
Lebanon shopping, it just makes sense.
Now that Farmers Market is done, don't despair. Freshly baked cookies, cinnamon rolls, and holiday treats are just a phone call away at Myra's Cookies. Hi, this is Myra. Call me now at 541-905-5152. That's 905-5152 from Myra's Cookies.
Need tires? Hi, this is Don from Conegat Tire Factory. From lawnmowers to tractors, cars, and trucks, we have what you need. And Conegat Tire's ASE certified mechanics can help you with your brakes, shocks, struts, alignment, oil changes, and stuff you won't believe. Even propane for your barbecue and RV. Conegat Tire Factory, still at the Y in Lebanon.
At the Lebanon Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center, you'll find details on Lebanon businesses and how to get a hold of the one you need.
Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 1040 Park Street across from Canega Tire. Or visit us at our website, lebanon-chamber.org.
Lebanon shopping, it just makes sense.
It's a book lover's dream. The Friends of the Albany Public Library's annual used book sale is this Friday and Saturday at the Linn County Fairgrounds. Over 15,000 books to choose from, including fiction, nonfiction, and children's books, hardback and paperback. You'll even find videos, talking books, CDs, and DVDs at crazy prices. Load up with bargains and help out the library at the Friends of the Albany Public Library's annual used book sale this Friday and Saturday at the Linn County Fairgrounds. For more information or to donate books, call 928-4400.
Your voice of reason in the West is Hugh Hewitt. Weekday afternoons at 3 on Smart Talk 1580.
Hey, in the interest of time, I have to hurry things along here. This is Valley Talk. We're talking about the Linn County Commission race. The next question is, what is the biggest issue affecting Linn County? This question goes to challenger Mark Spence. And Mark, you have 2 minutes.
Okay, the race is on. I was asked this question by the DH back in March or April, I think, and the biggest issues are the budget and the economy, and they're not particularly divorced. And this is another place where I believe I differ from the incumbent, and that is we have to be proactive. We can't be reactive to what's happening in the state, what's happening at the federal issues. We have to engage our own problems. The budget is impacted by the loss of timber payments. It's impacted by the lack of timber revenues. It's impacted by a faltering economy. So in a sense, that's why that is the biggest issue. The way, very quickly, sort of to build on the previous question, what did I do as a historian? What am I as a historian? I used to work at a college in Illinois that was facing bankruptcy. And we did not want the college to die. So we had to make a couple decisions. What do we want the college to be? What's an excellent college? And we defined that, a large group of folks. There were 4 of us that sort of came up with this plan. A number of people were involved ultimately in developing sort of a mission statement for what the college would be. And with that plan, then we said, okay, now we have to make budget cuts. We have to cut staff. We have to cut funding. And as we do that, we will, but in doing it, we're positioning ourselves to achieve excellence. We made those cuts. We turned the corner. The college now has doubled its endowment. It is nationally ranked, and every year it's rated one of the 40 colleges that change lives in the United States. We need to do the exact same thing with our budget. We're probably facing future budget cuts, but those budget cuts have to make sense. They cannot be reactive.
Where would you make them?
It really depends on our vision of excellence. It depends on our vision of excellence. If it's to save public safety, we need to define excellent public safety and cut to situate ourselves for it to happen.
Okay, in the interest of fairness, we're going to pose the same question to Roger Nyquist.
What do you think is the biggest issue facing Linn County, other than that the economy is lagging? I mean, what sort of problems do you face?
Well, we have a challenge maintaining important services. Our county budget, I think, for the next couple of years is going to be a challenge with property values decreasing and compression on the sheriff's levy. We need to be very smart and be willing to make the tough decisions to get through the next couple of years.
By tough decisions, you mean laying people off, cutting the workforce, or what?
Taking a look at all of the services we provide and what's necessary and what's not.
So you've had 12 years of experience helping run the county. Where do you think are there opportunities for making savings or for saving money?
Well, one thing we've done, and it's been a few years, was we terminated our relationship with the state to operate parole and probation. That's now the state's responsibility. That saves us. At the time, it was $1 million a year. It must be much more than that now. It's why in Linn County you didn't see the sheriff closing the jail and inmates running out like you did in Lane County. Our health department now relies on very little general fund dollars. They've restructured in a way that most of what they do are grant funds.
That's about all the time we have for the show. Wish we had more time. That's sometimes what you run into in broadcasting. This is KGAL Valley Talk.
Your first choice in local news, sports, and smart talk. This is News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.
CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes.